Hey people, welcome back to my channel. Today we have something really special in my opinion. I'm a 90s kid, and I have fond memories of my first handheld ever, which is the Game Boy Color. And that's exactly why I bought this, the ModRetro Chromatic. And I gotta say, I am very excited for this. And why would I be excited? Well, I do enjoy emulation, but playing old cartridges always makes it feel better in my opinion. That's why I have here a modded Game Boy Color. But it's still not perfect, and that's where the Chromatic comes into play. So here I have the ModRetro Chromatic GameStop version, and also a brand new game from ModRetro, called Dragonime, I guess. It looks like it's an JRPG style game. I liked the box and the artwork, so that's why I chose this one. Now let's take a look at the Chromatic packaging. I think it looks really cool. It's full of details and colors that evoke that 90s aesthetic. And who doesn't like some nostalgic 90s aesthetic? If you don't, you probably won't like the Chromatic. Without further ado, let's open this bad boy. This part is always so satisfying. So cool. This packaging feels so nice and premium. This flap is held by magnets. Nice. Oh man, this looks so freaking cool. The artwork and the feeling of this packaging just hits the spot. Let's check the device. Oh yeah, it feels really nice and hefty. The magnesium alloy body really feels premium. It feels like an upscale Game Boy Color. Let's see what else it's in the box. Okay, comes with some ModRetro branded alkaline batteries. And the new Tetris version by ModRetro as well. Cool. I can't deny, the Chromatic feels really premium. The magnesium alloy body, the buttons, the D-pad, it really feels like an expensive piece of tech. Nice volume wheel, a GBC link port. On the top, a nice large on-off switch, the infrared port. Even the battery cover feels premium. Check this out. The interior has these rubber pads to keep the batteries in place and keeping them from rattling. All right, now let's check the game. It does feel like opening a brand new Game Boy game. This is great. This game looks fun. Can't wait to play it. Cool cartridge. I like the color and the gold flakes on it. It feels just like an original Game Boy cartridge. Nice. And of course, just like back in the day, ModRetro made sure to hit all the spots, and it came with a manual in full color and with some cool artwork. Well done, ModRetro, well done. And by the way, this is not the only game ModRetro is releasing for us to play on the Chromatic, or even on other Game Boy hardware. They have plenty others already released and more to come. Also, every new game ModRetro is releasing are coming with these charms, so you can hang on your handheld. Pretty cool. This sapphire scratch-resistant screen lens look amazing. And here is my all-white modded Game Boy Color with IPS screen. The body dimensions of the Chromatic are pretty similar to the Game Boy Color. I guess that was the idea. Although, the Chromatic borrows some design cues from the original DMG Game Boy. As you can see here from the front of the device, the right lower corner is rounded, just like the DMG. But the profile is definitely heavily inspired on the Game Boy Color. Both have that lower butt. They offer some more comfortable grip. Alright, let's turn these handhelds on and compare them. I have it here a OEM Game Boy Color, the Chromatic, and my modded Game Boy Color. So, this Game Boy Color has a funny playing IPS screen mod. Let me show you. I think it's a pretty good option, and I really like the way I built it in all white, but it's definitely not perfect. And one of the reasons why is not perfect is the fact that you will definitely need some really good batteries for it. I use rechargeable Eneloop Pro. For some reason, regular alkaline batteries struggle with this IPS mod. This mod is pretty cool though. You can have a plain IPS screen, or you can add this grid effect to simulate those old Game Boy LCD screens. You can also change the brightness setting with the touch sensor. which is pretty nice. Now, let's compare the chromatic and my modded Game Boy Color. Let's run Pokemon Blue version. Here you can see that the chromatic screen is a bit smaller than the IPS screen mod, but it's definitely a higher quality screen than the IPS on my modded Game Boy. The modded Game Boy has the screen set to max brightness level at the moment, while the chromatic, it's about 25% brightness right now. So let's increase the brightness on the chromatic, and then compare. The screen on the chromatic just looks amazing. Also, you may notice a difference on the colors displayed, and the reason is that the chromatic screen is set to replicate the correct color of an OEM Game Boy Color, while the IPS screen on my modded Game Boy just looks a bit more saturated. Which one do you prefer? Let's check Pokemon Blue version on an OEM Game Boy Color. Yes, I really don't know how we were able to play like this back in the day. It's almost impossible to see anything without some sort of direct light on top of the screen. Also, we can see that the chromatic screen is a little bit bigger than the OEM Game Boy Color screen. Yeah, it's really an unfair comparison here. There is no reason to play these games on a completely OEM Game Boy Color in 2024. That original screen is just obsolete. So in conclusion, I think the chromatic is an amazing piece of tech. It's very premium, it has a magnesium alloy body, a sapphire scratch-resistant screen lens, incredible build quality, incredible screen tech, awesome FPGA that perfectly replicates the original hardware. It offers that authentic feeling of playing Game Boy and Game Boy Color with a modern hardware and without compromises. But I also understand it's not for everyone. It's an expensive way to play Game Boy Color games. Currently, we have plenty of ways to play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. Multiple $70 emulator retro handhelds that can easily emulate Game Boy. Or for about the same price as a chromatic, you can get the best premium jack of all trades, the Analog Pocket, that can also play original carts and emulate. Sure, it's really hard to justify the price of the chromatic. But, my opinion, as someone who has multiple ways to play Game Boy games, I can easily say that I am glad that I bought the chromatic. It will definitely be my Game Boy Color machine. It evokes that feeling of playing on original hardware with modern commodities and premium feeling. The ModRetro Chromatic only does one thing, but it exceeds on it, and in my humble opinion is the ultimate way to play Game Boy Color games. If you made all the way to the end of the video, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Leave your opinions on the comments section. And here are the Glamour Shots. See you on the next one. Bye.